any single doubt there would be in his own team and his teammates around him. They will now reel around him like he's the one leader. He's the guy. There's absolutely no discussion that there's anybody else. I'm not saying that would be the case before, because I saw in an interview of Jay Hindley, let's not forget, ex-winner of the Giro, that he was at the full service of Primož Roglič. But with this performance, the spirits in Red Bull Hansgrohe are super high, and there is no doubt that they will go full gas for him, all of his teammates. So that's another advantage of a really strong performance so early in the race.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are talking stage 2 of the Giro d'Italia, breaking down the 14-kilometer long time trial, as well as predicting tomorrow's stage 3, which is surprisingly difficult mountain terrain. So I'm quite excited to hear Johan's thoughts on who's going to win that and how it's going to play out. Just a quick primer, Josh Tarling. Oops. To please delete yesterday's episode if you have that in your player. Josh Tarling wins by 1 second or a fraction of a second over Primož Roglič, with Jay Vine third, who crashed yesterday. The former race leader, Mads Pedersen, finishes 7th, 11 seconds back, loses the jersey by a single second to Roglič. So not only did we have one sub 1 second race for the race win, stage win, we had a second margin between Roglič and Pedersen for the race lead. So it was actually quite an exciting stage. But Johan, what are your takeaways here? First of all, an apology to Josh Tarling. Wow, that was quite a ride. I felt quite silly. You almost got it right with Primož Roglič winning the stage, though. I did not quite. I was surprised he was that fast. But what did you take away from this?
Well, my takeaway is that we underestimated Josh Tarling. I think we got carried away by yesterday's kind of seeing him not making the front group. But if you think about it, it's only logical. He's a big guy. He probably wanted to try to hold on, maybe with in mind that if he would win the time trial, he would be in pink. But the way the race developed yesterday, I think it was only logical that he couldn't hang on. And based on that, we said, maybe he's not the favorite. We should have always made him the favorite. He is a time trial specialist, 13.7 kilometers, big power. I also apologize to Tarling. I've heard that people around him are listening to our podcast and are making fun of us. So it won't happen again.
He's also a child. He's 21 years old. So,
he's not a teenager anymore. He's an adult. He's an adult now. He's 21.
I don't know if this is true, but I saw he was the youngest Giro stage winner since 1981, which I believe is Matteo Argentin. Is that
Argentin?
Yeah.
No,
Moreno, not Matteo. I got Matteo Jorgensen on the mind, but
Moreno Argentin.
Quite the achievement. So impressive.
Yeah, impressive. And then the other big takeaway of today is the confirmation that Primož Roglič is in great shape. He showed up in full force. We could see it already yesterday a bit, the way he was, surfing at ease in the front of the peloton with or without teammates. You can see in his pedaling style and the way he was sitting on the bike yesterday and how comfortable he was navigating the situations, that he showed up really, really fit. And today, I think he proved that. It's only 13.7 kilometers, but he was the best of all the GC guys. And especially 16 seconds difference with Juan Ayuso. It's not much, you could say, but it is more than a second per kilometer. And especially the mental victory in this first big appointment. The first time trial is always the first big rendezvous between the GC guys. And so that's obviously the first battle is won by Roglič. He's in pink. He probably won't defend it, don't want to defend it. I would recommend them or him to not defend it, especially because we have other candidates that could take over the jersey, whether it's from a breakaway or most likely if Mads Pedersen tomorrow can stay in the front group and take some modifications, he would then be the pink jersey again, and has a strong team around him who will defend it. Another advantage, Spencer, of today's performance of Roglič is that he now has erased, if it was necessary, but I mean, you never know until you're in the race and you show how strong you are. He has erased any single doubt there would be in his own team and his teammates around him. They will now reel around him like he's the one leader. He's the guy. There's absolutely no discussion that there's anybody else. I'm not saying that would be the case before, because I saw in an interview of Jay Hindley, let's not forget, ex-winner of the Giro, that he was at the full service of Primož Roglič. But with this performance, the spirits in Red Bull Hansgrohe are super high, and there is no doubt that they will go full gas for him, all of his teammates. So that's another advantage of a strong performance so early in the race.
He's also not been if you've noticed, he's not been time trialing well at the beginning of Grand Tours. Like, think of the last time he won this race, 2023. So this shows you, I mean, maybe you could say he's too fit too early, but I think it means, he's gotten this, he's buttoned up. The team knows who's boss. I would be really despondent if I was trying to win this race and I wasn't Primož Roglič. On the gap.
Well, on that note, Spencer, I mean, you bring up a good point. He's maybe too early to fit. That's my fear. That's my fear. And the Giro is known, very typical, that, somebody who's shown up, that he already was once in a situation like that. He did 2 weeks in the Giro. He was unbeatable. Like, he was so strong, way above everybody else. And the third week, he fell apart. Knowing that the Giro is always the hardest in the last week, it is a race of attrition and a race of, who's recovering the best and who's wearing out. Okay, not saying it's going to happen to Roglič, but he needs to really manage the 3 weeks, and especially not race every day during 21 days as if it was every day a one-day race.
You bring up a really good point. Yes, that's a great point. On the gaps, we were talking before this, you're saying, it's more mental than an actual important time gap. But do you remember how much Primož Roglič won this race by last time he did it? It's 14 seconds, and he gained 16 seconds on Juan Ayuso today. And you forget, because I think people assume the mountains are big at the Giro, and then Tadej Pogačar blew everybody out last year. This race is usually decided by less than a minute. So at least it has since 2015, 2016. It's been a really, really tight race. So these time gaps are significant. I just have them listed out here, 12 seconds on Brandon McNulty, 16 seconds on Ayuso, 25 seconds on Tiberi, 27 seconds on Storer, who had a great time trial, by the way, 28 seconds on Derek G, 36, 33 on the Yates brothers, 48 on Bruyneel. So that is, if you think about this being a tight race, because everyone's going to huddle together now and wait for that third week, these are kind of big gaps.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you look at 45 seconds or 48 seconds on Bruyneel, that's considerable, right? But again, the Giro in the last week is horrible. It's so hard. But it's better to be 45 seconds ahead than 45 seconds behind. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, also the problem in modern cycling, too, if you take Pogačar out of the mix, a lot of people don't drop each other because everyone's roughly the same strength.
Yeah, it's tight. Yeah.
So on the jersey, so he has the pink jersey. He gets it by a second from Pedersen, who put in a great ride, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I thought he was going to pull. He was sprinting at the end, which is unusual in a time trial. I thought that was going to work. But what do they do now? I'm actually quite curious about this. I think you would want to give it away, Johan, which makes me think that they're going to keep it, because whatever.
Yeah. Listen, if you look at this race as a 3-week race, you have to try to get rid of this jersey, unless you just keep it against your will without doing too much effort, right? But it's a matter of finding somebody, or either let the breakaway go and then look at the situation in GC and say, okay, this guy's going to get the jersey. It's probably not done anymore now, but or maybe it is, but not as obvious anymore. You kind of make a little gentleman's agreement with the other director during the race to say, okay, you know what, we're not going to chase it down, but you guys get the jersey, but you need to commit to defending it at least for 3-4 days. That's huge for a team that has the sole favorite, because let's say it as it is. Everybody sees Primož Roglič as the big favorite, the only favorite, and all the other riders are riding against Primož and against Red Bull, right? So that would be my strategy. It's probably not going to happen because they do things. They're all like in their own bubble, but it would be helpful if you find a partnering team with the same interests, and at least get 4 days where you can preserve the team. Because if things go to plan, it's going to be a hard Giro for Red Bull because they're going to have to work a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they're going to put those boys on the front and ride them to Rome, or that's going to be the plan. It's also tricky with this. I was going through this and visualizing how you would do it, because it's uphill finish stage 5, and then it's summit finish stage 7. So yeah, even if you give the jersey away,
you could get 5, it back. You could have it back. You could get it back earlier than you want, right?
Yeah.
Unless there's a breakaway that takes 2, 3, 4 minutes. Those things don't happen that frequently anymore in today's cycling either. Big breaks. That's not the case anymore. So yeah, I mean, you could give it away and get it back without wanting it back, because anytime it's uphill, he needs to go full gas to stay with his rivals or to take time on his rivals.
Well, and what really complicates it too is don't look now, but we've got some interesting stuff brewing at UAE. Like after this time trial, they're now 4th, 5th, 6th in the GC. Brandon McNulty's 4th, Ayuso's 5th, Del Toro's 6th. All 3 of those guys are good. Brandon McNulty's very good. So who's the leader? That's kind of an interesting question. Who does Red Bull think the leader is? And they have Jay Vine, who almost wins this stage after crashing yesterday, is now like 3.5 minutes down because of his crash on the first day. But if they start putting any of these guys in breakaways, like that breakaway is not going to get a big gap, and it's going to put Red Bull in a difficult position.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm UAE, I'm trying to play with Ayuso, with Del Toro and McNulty, and have you. I mean, Ayuso's the leader. That's almost a guarantee. He said before the race that he shared the leadership with Adam Yates. I don't think in his mind he doesn't. He's the only leader in his mind. That he has the leader's mentality. But it is a good strategy as a team to have a lot of riders well placed after the first time trial, and then try to play them in different moves and wear out the team of your rival, which would be Red Bull. So I'm more thinking about the McNulty. McNulty could be a very important piece here. He's not considered as a real threat for GC because he's never done it. But at the same time, there's always going to be that what if, if this guy gets 3-4 minutes, what if we never get it back?
It's like the Ben O'Connor conundrum,
Exactly, because some riders, especially with that kind of qualities, once they get into a leader's position, let's say he takes the pit, sometimes they surpass themselves and they surprise themselves and they hang on. So, they cannot let that happen.
Something that would keep me up at night if I worked for Red Bull. Stage 17 of the 2022 Tour de France. Do you remember Brandon McNulty? Basically, that was a hard mountain stage in the Pyrenees. Brandon McNulty's on the front pretty much the whole time, shreds the field, gets 3rd on the stage. So if you think like, we're going to get to the high mountains and this guy's going to come back to us, like he might not. So that's something to keep an eye on. Before we move on from it entirely, just Josh Tarling, I'm curious where you see him going from this. Like what's his potential? What's his upside? And then Ineos, like, what does this mean to them as a team?
Well, Josh Tarling, I think he came to this race as soon as the route was announced, he was on the list with Ineos because of these 2 relatively shorter time trials and relatively time trials for time trial specialists. He's for sure a time trial specialist. So I think his immediate goal is win the other time trial. It's also shortish, not very, 23 kilometers or something, 22, 23.
It's 28 off the 28. It's flatter though, too. It's probably a better time trial.
Well, listen, 28 is fine for him. He's won the European Championships. over a longer distance. He's been medaling in the World Championships. He was fourth in. Was he fourth in the Olympics? Yeah, he fourth in the Olympics
with a flat tire. Am I remembering that right?
He had a mechanical for sure.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the race. So that's going to be his next goal now. The other time trial. Other than that, I think he can develop into a great classic specialist with that kind of power. In the sprint classics, he must be in the future one of the guys who's up there.
Yeah, like I'm even looking, Paris-Nice this year, stage 6, Mads Pedersen wins, Josh Tarling is second. Like a tough, hilly day.
I remember that. It was super cold also.
Yeah. So obviously that's a stage race, but I think he could, be very good in classics. It's tall. He's like shockingly tall, almost 2 meters high is what it looks like. So
yeah, he's a beast.
Get that man on the classics. Probably not. Should he not get sucked into the Ineos GC machine? What do you think?
No. There's no way. I mean, and they shouldn't. He should focus on what he's good at. Time trialing and stage wins and from breakaways. He can do that too. Or he's fast also, pretty fast.
Yeah.
If it's a reduced group, listen, he's won stage 2 in his first Grand Tour. I assume it's his first Grand Tour. Don't know if he already did the Vuelta. I don't remember now, but anyway, he's won an early stage. Anything that comes now is a bonus. So this is one of the guys who's riding now on. He's euphoric. Anything that will happen now will be good. We'll see more of him, and if he doesn't have any bad luck or sickness, we'll see more of him in this Giro.
And then my pick for the day, Wout van Aert. I only mention this because very disappointing time trial. But it shows us just how he was not bluffing, right? Like he's not feeling good. It's actually surprising that he got so close to winning stage 1 based on how much he looked like he wasn't terrible today, but not Wout van Aert strong.
No, and also, Wout in his interview after this, I don't know if it was on TV, but I saw it in the Belgian media. He said he was super disappointed. He expected a lot more. I think he even started with, in his mind, trying to get pink, especially after yesterday's performance. By the way, I just want to mention, Spencer, I got misquoted in the Belgian press. Misquoted. I did an interview about 10 days ago for a magazine, Belgian magazine, Humo. Long interview. And one of my explanations was there that, I found it strange that Wout van Aert was at the start of the Giro because, he did the sprint classics. We know he's going to do the Tour. So the Giro kind of doesn't make too much sense. And I also said it's probably because last year he had signed a contract with a good start fee to do the Giro, wasn't able to go because he crashed in Dwars door Vlaanderen in Waregem. And now he's making up for that, or that contract is still in place. Or, anyways, that's what I said. There's a Belgian newspaper who's always trying to twist certain sentences, who actually took that quote out of that interview and added the fact that Wout van Aert had been sick before the Giro, which is he said in his interview at the presentation, but which I didn't know 10 days ago. When I did the interview with the magazine, they put those two things together and they presented this to Richard Plugge, saying, "Hey, Bruyneel says that it doesn't make sense that Van Aert is here. They don't say the explanation I gave, and he is sick, and that he's obligated to start." So two completely different things. They put it together. They presented it to Plugge, and Plugge said, "Of course, we would never force a rider who's been sick to start if he's not healthy." Right, which is a good answer. But anyways, I just want to point out that certain media are really manipulating quotes and then putting other quotes together and making a different story. So, anyways, it's all good, no problem.
Well, most of our listeners probably aren't pro cyclists, but they probably all have been sick. So if you're very sick, you're probably not getting second on the opening stage of the Giro d'Italia. So I don't think he's at a point where they shouldn't have started him.
No, I think that it's true. I also saw an interview of Wout's wife who said that it was a difficult approach to the Giro because he had been sick in the weeks before or the week before. But being sick, okay, it can be a cold, like a little flu. You can't train properly, but you kind of get better, and you're ready to start, but your preparation has not been ideal. I think that's what happened to Wout. Obviously they wouldn't make him start if he's unhealthy or if he's sick or if he has fever.
Yeah. And I mean, your picks were great. Primož Roglič, Matej Vajcek both did very well. Primož almost wins this stage. My second pick, just the trail of my failures, Juan Ayuso. Little disappointing finishes. And I heard that maybe he crashed harder yesterday on stage 1 than we initially thought, we will talk more about that when we talk about stage 3, but that's just something to keep an eye on. If he is struggling through this opening week, I mean, he's probably good enough that he can limit, and he will not lose time and can get better before the third week. But because when I saw Tarling come through, I think he was like 3 seconds ahead of Johan. I thought, he hasn't won the stage because Juan Ayuso's lurking out there. There's really good time trialists lurking out there who are going to go much faster than Johan, who crashed yesterday. And then no one did. And one of the people I thought would was Juan Ayuso, but as we said about Roglič, this is like Roglič has been doing this for years, like underperforming, quote unquote, in the opening time trial.
Well, I mean,
doing very well.
He's still 10th in the time trial, loses 17 seconds. It's not terrible. And with crashes, you never know. You can go down and it seems okay. And then the day after you say, oh, wow, I didn't know I was hurt here or here. I mean, I think a little indication of that it's probably, I mean, it didn't seem like a big deal, right? So he crashed with some other riders. His team waited for him. At some point, he was a bit behind, like 45 seconds behind, made it back. He didn't panic. So that was a good sign. Yesterday, what I really saw yesterday is that after that crash, we have never seen Juan Ayuso prominently present in the bunch, in the front of the bunch. He was never in the first 20. He was kind of not with his team, and the team was not united, but Juan Ayuso was not in the position that he should be as being one of the favorites. That could be a consequence of that crash of yesterday, already in the final of yesterday's stage. So listen, if this is the case, we don't know, but if this is the case that today he was feeling the consequences of the crash and he only loses 16 seconds to Primož, I would take that. It's not a bad day.
Another rider I'm kind of just curious about, GC curious, Michael Storer, 27 seconds behind Roglič. He's not been a good time trialist, clearly puts out a lot of power. Someone on his team told me he sits very upright, and at training camp before the Giro, they're focusing on tucking down closer. And he realized, wow, you can go a lot faster if you're not sitting upright. But the guy's got a massive engine, obviously. And then if he's time trialing this well, that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know if he's going to come out and suddenly podium the Giro, but that's an early test that I did not see him passing.
Yeah, it's pretty good, 27 seconds. It's not bad. As you say, Spencer, he's not known to be a time trial specialist. He is in really good shape. What I saw in Tour of the Alps was pretty good. He himself has said also that he's never felt stronger before than he feels now. He's racing without pressure, in my opinion. So he could be one of the guys that is up there for third or top 5. He's obviously a good climber. He's going to be there. My only question is he going to be able to do it for 3 weeks? That I don't know. I've never seen him do it.
Yeah, he's allegedly one of the strongest people in the peloton, like Pogacar strong. But there's difference between, jumping
Pogacar's,
on Zwift.
I don't know Pogacar strong.
I heard his numbers are up there with the best, but there's a difference between doing that on Zwift for 40 minutes and then doing that 3 weeks into a Grand Tour when it's snowing on you at the Giro. Before we go on to our prediction, tell us about these chain rings. What is going on? Tarling at a 68, Primož at a 68, Wout at a 64.
Ayuso at a 64, ring. Yeah.
What's the theory?
It's all, these huge chain rings. I saw this little video of Primož testing out his time trial bike. I think he was on a home trainer. This thing looked like, it was almost touching the floor. It's like so big.
He's going to pedal strike, chain ring strike.
Honestly, 68 is huge. Plus, I see that a lot of those riders are riding then, and even with a single chainring. So they have cassettes, I think, from 10 to 36, some of them. But still, I mean, anyway, we've been talking about it. The thinking behind it is that you have your chain more in the middle, so a straight line, less friction. The cadence is the same. It's not because they have a huge chainring that they go low cadence. They still go the same cadence.
But hold on a second. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. So let's say you're doing 90 RPMs. Mm-hmm. And you're doing that with a 68 versus a 53. The power must be increasing.
It's the same.
Right?
It's the same. The chain is in the middle, Spencer. They never go on the 10 or the 11. They go in the middle of the cassette in the back.
So it's like 68-15 instead of 53.
Something like that. Exactly.
I also heard the less you can bend it, the better. So the bigger the rings are, the better, because there's less friction. Yeah, it makes sense. It's not pinching, but for years we always thought middle's the best.
Yeah.
Now they're finding. Sorry, my cameraman is all over. They're finding that even like big is good, even if it's cross chained, because it's just pinching it less.
Yeah, but also I mean, and also if they ride a single chainring, it's obviously going to be more in the middle. It's the chain is never going to be.
Yeah, because you're moving that big one in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the cadence has not changed. It's still the same.
Should we go out? Should we all go out and buy like 68 to chainrings, or should we just stick with like the 48s? What do you think,
Spencer? I'm not even riding a 48. I'm riding a 46 now on my gravel bike on the road, and it's great. A single chainring, 46, and then I have a 10 to 44. In the back, perfect.
It is quite nice. I was on a 46, and then I stole Lance's old gravel bike, and he had 48. So that's what I'm running right now. But let's pause for an ad break really quick, and then we'll talk about stage 3 and who we think is going to win. This episode is brought to you by Troscriptions. Here's a question to consider. What do you need right now on your path to health optimization? For me, sometimes it's just better focus. Other days, it's deeper sleep or just a clean boost without reaching for another cup of coffee. That's why I've been using Troscriptions, a company that's rethinking supplements from the ground up. Their formulas are pharmaceutical grade, physician designed, and delivered in a completely new way through something called a buccal troche. That's a buccal troche, a small lozenge that dissolves between your cheek and gum and gets to work fast because it bypasses your digestive system and goes straight into your bloodstream. Need energy, better sleep, less stress? Troscriptions has you covered, and it's all backed by science, made in the U.S. and designed to help you feel your best as fast as possible. Take advantage of this completely new way to optimize your health by heading to troscriptions.com/TheMove or entering the move at checkout for 10% off your first order. That's Troscriptions, TROSCRIPTIONS.com/TheMove. Troscriptions.com/TheMove, or just go to the link in the show notes for 10% off your first order. All right, back to the episode. All right, we're back. Johan, this stage is pretty interesting. I mean, this whole first weekend has been put together really well. Sometimes these foreign starts aren't so great, but I'm pulling up the stats right now. 160K, not long, like another 100-mile stage. Multiple categorized climbs, two categorized climbs, so I guess multiple. There's a Cat 2 climb, almost 11K long at almost 8% average. It tops out about, let's say, 40K from the finish line. You obviously have the descent and then around 20K a flat before you finish. This is not going to be a straightforward, normal like transition stage. I'll read the odds are changing as I'm looking at it, but it's also these odds are super interesting. This is on Unibet in Europe. Everything else will be similar. Mads Pedersen's the favorite, plus 175. The second favorite, Wout van Aert, plus 1,000. So this is an insane step down. Tom Pidcock, plus 1,200. Mateusz Wojcik, plus 2,000. Pello Bilbao, plus 3,300. Obviously, that would be from a breakaway. Isaac Del Toro, plus 3,300. I said 33,000. I meant 3,300. Isaac Del Toro, the same, 3,300. Primož Roglič, plus 3,300. Christian Scoroni, plus 3,300. Diego Ulissi, plus 3,300. It goes on and on. But how do you think this is going to play out, and who's going to win?
It's difficult. It's difficult. If you look at it, 160K, almost 3,000 meters of vertical. So not an easy stage. And especially that Cat 2 climb, 10.5 kilometers, 7.5%. That's not easy. My question is, and my doubt is, and it depends who's taking responsibility of the race and what their intentions are. But I'm afraid that if there's a bit of testing between the GC guys, or if one of those GC guys, whether it's the teams, whether it's UAE or Red Bull, if they take charge of the matter on that climb, it might actually be too hard for Pedersen and Van Aert too, because that's a hard climb. Now, they are probably going to come back if they get in trouble. That's
especially if they're together.
Yeah, but I mean, even it's not like yesterday, Spencer. Yesterday, these climbs at the end, they were fast, they were not hard, and there was already, there was chaos and bodies everywhere. And this is different, right? It's a longer climb. But man, I mean, these climbs in Albania are not easy, So I'm a bit in doubt of what the scenario could be. I think it's right to put Mats Pedersen as the big favorite. If he can stay there, or if he can make it back, and one of those two possibilities will probably happen, then I think he's the big favorite to win the stage and for sure get back in pink. If he's not, and even if he's not winning, he's probably going to have taken some bonifications already in the sprint at the middle of the stage. That's going to be his first goal, because I think he wants to get back in pink. If you're 1 second behind and you have the opportunity, you're going to do that. So I think Little Trek needs to keep it together tomorrow in the final. We've seen yesterday that they have a really strong team to do that. So I'm going to pick Mats Pedersen to win, even if it's only at 150. Or yes. The last time I checked, it was 150.
I know it moved 175. It's better. So
okay,
jump on that price if you see it. I actually am going to do that. Full disclosure, I think that probably what's going to happen, because let's just walk through a few scenarios. Some people would say Breakaway is going to win. It's like it's a little early for Breakaway because Little Trek's here.
No. I think he did.
I looked this up last night.
I'm not sure about that, Spencer. I'm gonna prove you wrong. Wait 1 second.
The best I've ever seen I can find is 11th at last year's tour.
I think he's been top at the Giro.
Here's his career Giro results: DNF 95th, 40th, 16th, DNF 25th.
Okay,
and then hasn't raced it for a while, since 2022. Okay.
Then maybe okay. Yeah, he's won stages at the Giro. He's won hard stages at the Giro, but then never. Okay, well, then listen, then he's probably not going to be.
And he's like 30-something years old. He's probably not going to blossom into.
But also, Spencer, you can clearly see that he's not fully with GC ambitions, because he was doing so much work yesterday for Mats Pedersen. If you start the Giro as the leader of the team with top 5 ambitions, you're going to shy away from the work he did yesterday. Because he was the guy who was making all the tempo on the last climb. It's very hard, and he was the guy who was doing the damage. So yeah, I think
so. They're Ciccone
is going to be at the service of Pedersen again tomorrow.
And that team is so strong. And let's talk about the climb. So it's a hard climb. Couple thoughts on it. Pedersen might not bother him because, my God, like the guy was one of the most comfortable riders on the climb on stage 1. Great time trial. Like, I'm not convinced he's going to get dropped on the climb. But even if he does get dropped, Wout van Aert will also get dropped. So he'll have someone to work with. But who would be in that front group that, like, Red Bull's not going to pace for 40K to keep Pedersen off the back? They don't care. They would rather Pedersen come back and win the stage and take the jersey from them.
The other scenario would be, Spencer, that Van Aert and Pedersen are not together, which, based on what we've seen yesterday, Wout was in trouble when Mats was not. So even if they get dropped, Mats would probably make it back earlier than Wout, and then Little Trek starts to ride like crazy to make sure that Wout doesn't come back.
Yes. I can't imagine who would be working to keep Pedersen off the back for that long. So it does tend to suggest he's going to win. So the obvious second pick is Wout van Aert. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that for 3 days in a row. I think that's been my pick every stage. And then it gets actually really difficult because you think, well,
do I sense that one of your family members is a huge Wout van Aert fan?
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. My
son, right? So that's probably why you keep picking him, because you need to score points with your son.
We have to turn this around. I don't want to put too much pressure on Pluga and Van Aert, but we need a win because these mornings are tough the way they're going. But it gets really hard to pick someone outside of that because with Mateusz Wojcik, there's not a chance that he makes it to the finish and Pedersen doesn't, and he's sprinting instead. So I'm at a loss here. Like Christian Scaroni, I might just start picking people on Astana because they seem to be winning a lot of stages. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. This is who's going to win if Pedersen is dropped. And I'm so hesitant to say this name out loud, but Tom Pidcock plus 1,200. Mm-hmm. That's my pick for the stage.
Yeah, disappointing time trial also today, by the way.
Yeah.
For Pidcock. But yesterday he was there. I think that's a good choice.
Is he riding?
One thing I wanted to mention also, Spencer, a little thought of myself, Little Trek. Listen, they've done a great job yesterday. They're obviously in great shape. Good team around Pedersen. They won the stage yesterday. They're on a high. And they know that on stage 3, they have a chance again, right? Why? My question is that Pedersen goes full gas in the time trial. That's only logical because he had a chance to hold on to pink. Why do Mateusz Wojcik and Dan Hole go full gas in today's time trial if tomorrow they are super important for Mats Pedersen to try to win the stage again? This I do not understand. It makes no sense.
Well, okay.
Wojcik could say, okay, maybe I have a chance to win. I was second in the Vuelta time trial. Probably with this field, it was a bit more difficult. But especially when you see Mats won the stage yesterday, he can do a good time trial. I would have said to these guys, hey, guys, listen, we don't care if you're 7th or 8th or 10th in the time trial. We won the stage. We want to keep Mats as close as possible. And on day 3, I need you guys fresh as a daisy. So today is a rest day or relatively rest day.
I was thinking about this morning. I was anticipating you asking this question, Johan. Does this mean that is there distrust there? Because it's like, okay, yeah, I don't try. And then I get to the end of the year and you bring in Spencer Martin, who just looks at my results and says, this guy sucks. Don't re-sign this guy. Is that what they're worried about?
No, Wojcik is on a long-term deal, I think. Dan Hole they know the worth of these guys in the team. It's not going to be because they're 6th or 7th in a time trial that they're going to have better chances to.
I've definitely heard from riders that they've gotten to the end of the year and it's like, hey, where's your results? And it's like, well, I was working for the team. And that's just my own theory of why maybe riders are trying to put something in their back pocket.
Well, listen, on Pro Cycling Stats, I don't know if that's correct or not. So sometimes it's not correct, although they do an amazing job. I see here that Wojcik is not signed beyond 2025. I think I read somewhere that that's not true. And then if you look at Dan Hole, let's have a look at him. Same thing.
Same thing. It definitely looked a little bit like conditions.
Both out of contract, according to Pro Cycling Stats. So I understand your point, but it's not because they're 6th and 7th in the time trial that's going to be all of a sudden an added benefit to re-sign. The team knows their value, and I have a slight suspicion that especially Wojcik has resigned already. I would make sure I keep that guy on my team because that guy's really good.
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys. And the other thing is, do they have data that's telling them 16-minute all-out effort? Is it going to punish you whether you do it in 16 minutes or 18 minutes?
It's going to punish you.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I feel like I would
Yeah.
I feel like that's a massive difference.
Yeah. Anybody who is in the top 8 has gone full gas, like blood in the throat. That's like, yeah, there's no way they've kept something.
And it's like trauma. The power that these guys are doing for that 60 minutes is like ripping your muscles apart. I thought it was weird too, Johan. I don't know. I was just trying to think of ways to justify it. But it definitely seemed like maybe they're trying to audition.
The thing is, Spencer, there's not much we can say about it because they're doing a great job as a team. They're amazing. They are strong, and they've won stage 1, and they're probably going to be in pink again tomorrow. So there's not much we can criticize.
Or it could be as simple as we came here to win stages, and let's just maximize our chances of winning stages because all 3 of those guys were in it. Pedersen had to go hard, as you said, but those 2 guys were like not that. Couple things go right, and they win that stage.
Yeah. But then there's always in time trials. For example, I think Don Hole, he's a time trial specialist. I think he's been Dutch champion time trial. So at some point you have to also let these guys do their thing, right? Because that's what they like, time trialing. And it's better to have a guy happy and satisfied in the team than somebody who say, hey, you know what? Okay, I know you like time trialing, but tomorrow you're not allowed to go fast. And then he's going to be, he's going to be in a bad mood and probably not do a really good job the day after. So it's a trade-off.
I also think there was not rumors. There was like meteorological studies were saying it might rain later in the day. And Dan Houle finished 121st on stage 1. So I assume he went very early in the,
Could be,
yeah. So
and also, sometimes what you also do is you send out a good time trial specialist. If he's early on, you make him, you make him go super fast to have split times for your leader. Because normally in a time trial like today, the race will probably have provided 2 split times. The official one we all saw, and probably an extra one internally. If it's a short time trial like this, you like to have a lot of split times that your leader can base himself on when he goes later on. So what you could do is you could say to Don Holo, okay, Don, I want you to go full gas until the official split. And the one of the directors go behind, he takes a split every kilometer. And then that's the rhythm, the tempo that your leader bases himself on. And he, at least then how good you are until the first split, because it's a long time to worst until for the split, right? So let's say you could have 5 or 6 split times before the official split time, and already that you're in a good rhythm.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's probably.
Although listen, I'm talking, Spencer. It's, in my opinion, it still makes sense, but let's not forget that these guys know their power output perfectly. Even without split times, they know how fast they can go based on their power meter, right? We didn't have those back in the days, so that's a little detail.
Before we go, I'm just looking at the odds and thinking, so Del Toro plus 3,300. Is there a chance he wins out of a small group tomorrow?
He's a racer, man, but I don't think they're going to let him go. If I'm in the case of UAE, I would try to be aggressive, and at least that the fact that they have 3-4 riders up there in GC, use it, right? Because at least when they're up there still, within a week, they're not going to have 3 guys anymore up there. So at least Del Toro and Jay Vine and who's the other guy?
McNulty, and then Adam
McNulty,
Yates, actually pretty high up there too.
Yeah. Adam Yates, no. Adam Yates is not going to go because they're going to save him. They're going to save him as the real, one of the 2 real contenders. But McNulty and Del Toro, I would use them to be aggressive.
Yeah, maybe he's not good enough at flat sprinting. I'm trying to just look at flat sprints that he's won.
Who, McNulty?
Del Toro.
Del Toro. He's pretty good.
He's a powerful rider.
He was last year. It was his first year. He was 3rd in the criterium in Adelaide. That's pretty flat. And it was a bunch sprint.
Yes. Yeah, that probably, you're right. Down Under Classic. Huh. And then he won like with a late attack at the Tour Down Under that year. Yeah, I mean, that would be my wild card if I had to pick one. Del Toro at plus 3,300, kind of an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, probably going to be Mads Pedersen. I would go with Johan's pick there. Anything else, Johan, before we take off?
No, that's it for me. Interesting stage tomorrow.
It is. Yeah, I'm quite excited to watch it, actually. But we will be back tomorrow before the weird early rest day on Monday.
Yeah, tomorrow evening we're back.
All right. Talk to you then.
Okay. Thanks, Spencer.
Bye.